Hello, and welcome to episode number 37 of TMC, where we are here to help you take your relationship from surviving to thriving.
Today, we will be discussing lessons that we learned in our relationship.
So we were talking about our relationship and the many lessons that we have learned throughout our relationship.
Wow, a lot of lessons.
Yes, we've been married for almost 23 years.
Hey.
This August will be 23 years.
Yeah.
And we were married very young. And so we've learned a lot along the way.
Yeah.
So as we discussed the lessons that we've learned from our relationship, we wanted to share these things with the TMC family.
Yeah.
So to enlighten, we always want to help every relationship go from surviving to thriving.
Right.
And if you're thriving, we want to give you the
Thrive even
fuel.
more,
Right. We
To
want
keep
to give
going,
you the
yeah.
fuel to keep
Yeah.
you thriving
Absolutely.
ahead.
Absolutely.
So we're going to jump right in, and we're just going to share 3 lessons today, only
Right.
3 that we've learned.
Right. So the first thing we're going to talk about is proper communication is the key. Let's talk about that.
Absolutely. We always talk about this, babe, because you communicate in many ways, whether you
Right.
realize it or not, with your spouse, with your significant other, with your children, with your family, your friends, your coworkers. You communicate in many different ways. You
Yeah.
communicate through your facial expressions. You communicate through your body language. You
Yeah.
communicate with your words. You communicate with your actions.
Yeah.
You communicate with your responses. So what we've talked about over the years, not that it's only important to communicate, but proper communication is what the key is. The key is proper communication, not just communicating.
Wow.
Because in order for our relationships to thrive, in order for our relationships to be all that they can be, in order for our relationships to be better, in order for our relationships to be cohesive, and for us to be a team, proper communication is the key. And when I think about this, I always think about the tone, the pitch, the manner to which you say things,
Yeah.
how you say them. My grandmother used to say, it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Yeah.
And when I was a kid, I didn't understand that. But as I grew up, and the longer we've been married, this is a lesson for me, a lesson that is concrete, that is not always about the fact that I communicate, but how I communicate can make a situation better, or it can be detrimental to that situation.
Yeah. There are doors all around us,
Mhm.
doors to trust, doors to love, and doors to respect, and
Mhm.
doors to all these different things. So there's doors all around the relationship, and you have this key. And really, literally, as far as relationship, proper communication is the single key to everything.
Mhm.
I mean, without proper communication, and the reason why we say proper communication, not just communication, because proper communication is doing it properly, because we
Mhm.
can communicate, but we can communicate improperly. We can
Mhm.
communicate and the person not understanding what we're communicating. I mean, we have these problems all the time. I mean, we have these problems with our children. We have these problems with our family. We have these
Mhm.
problems at
Mhm.
work. I mean, you mean well. I mean, you work hard, but there's
But
just
the way
certain
it
things.
comes across.
Right, the way it comes across. I mean, I know some people, great people with great hearts, but they don't have proper communication
Mhm.
skills, to communicate effectively. And what happens is they mean in their heart, they mean well in their heart, but they wonder why nobody want to be around them. And it could be a communication issue. I want you to, I just want to stop right here and just take this time and take this moment for you to think about. I mean, if you're having a communication problem, maybe you've been talking to somebody, maybe you've been talking to your family, your kids, your spouse, your friends, your family member,
Mhm.
talking to them, and it seems like no matter what you say is always misunderstood. It's like, man, I didn't mean it like that. All these different things. So maybe proper communication is key. It's the key of turning that relationship around. And we just want to really just hone in on one of the lessons. I mean, I personally learned. I remember, even having a certain tone.
Mhm.
Having a certain tone, me coming from the military, sometimes, somebody watch me, ever preach or whatever, I'm passionate about what I talk about, I get excited and things like that. And some of my passion I have to really be careful depending on how crucial the conversation is to really hone in on expressing, but expressing with less passion and less aggression. I remember years ago, we talked about this on previous podcasts. Years ago, I went to you for me to, because I want to be a better husband. I
Mm-hmm.
want to have a better, better relationship, whether it's good or whatever. I want it to be better. And then
Yeah,
even
absolutely.
even where we at now, it's like I want it to be better. I mean, I'm always striving for that next level. So I came to you. I came to you and I said, babe, I said, did anything as a husband that I can change, to be better, be a better person
Mm-hmm.
or whatever, without my relationship towards you. If you can name one thing, because I didn't want you to get, just started leaning in on me. So I said one thing I can change. What would it be?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I mean, deep inside my head, I mean, I was really, playing in my head like, you saying things, and I really wanted to get on the defense and say,
Mm-hmm.
but I really wanted, but I held back. I mean, I kept my butt out of it. A lot of us we have a lot of butts, big butts, and all these stuff, and we have to really be careful. We have to really
Yeah,
be careful with the
yeah, you're
butts.
right. You're right.
And so every time you're talking, I really I had a butt for it. I
Mm-hmm.
had a butt. I do, and I wanted to say it, but I held back. And for any reason, if I would have went into the butts and became defensive and everything you say I rebuttal,
Mm-hmm.
that would have killed the whole trust level on how much information you can trust me with from
Mm-hmm.
your heart.
Mm-hmm.
Like I really feel this. I mean, this is the thing. A lot of times in a relationship, sometimes we're in relationships and somebody is holding back because they really care about you. They really love you. And what happened if this communication is not communicated properly? That's what happened with divorces of people. This thing falling out of love because somebody. I mean, they obviously care about you enough because they don't want to hurt your feelings. Because every time something is said, your feelings is always hurt. You're quiet, you're not saying anything, you don't want to be touched, all these things from this communication. So we really have to, open up that key, that trust level is what we're talking about today, that trust level, and opening that up. So what happened is, although I felt like I had to defend myself, I just listened, I internalized, and I just said,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I'm going to work on it. I mean, first time it was difficult, but after that, now it's easy. I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
like I don't even think butts.
With you holding back all the butts that you wanted to give when I was talking to you during that moment, the
Right.
first time, what you properly communicated was that it was okay for me to be honest with you.
Yeah.
That what you properly communicated there, and that was a restraint. That was you because I was talking to you, and I remember this first time clearly because it started on our anniversary. That's how I remember it
Mm-hmm.
clearly. And because I remember that there was I didn't even know you wanted to say all these buts until you were sharing it in a sermon one time later. Then it was like, I wanted to say all these buts. And I'm like, whoa. But the communication through the body language, through the attentive listening, what you showed me was that it was safe to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
What you showed me was that it was okay to be truthful.
Yeah.
What you communicated was these things that it was that I'm really asking you a question and I want an honest answer. I don't want you to just tell me what I want to hear.
Yeah.
Your communication. And it wasn't that you verbally communicated that. It was your response. It was your
Right. I
action. It
didn't
was
show it.
you, it
Yeah.
was you controlling your facial
Oh, I had my
expressions. It was
poker face on. Yeah.
exactly. And there's people that may think, oh, poker face, that means you're faking. No, it means you're reserving whatever you want to do
Yeah.
from your human
At the
nature.
end of the day, you have to think about what's the end result. What do I
Exactly.
want? What do I
Exactly.
want out of this?
And
What do I?
what you want when you're communicating is you want to get an understanding. You want to get on the same page. You want to be level. You want the person or significant other, whoever you're communicating with,
Yeah.
you want them to understand what you're saying. You want them to understand what you're feeling. You
Mhm.
want them to understand how you feel. Whatever it is that you are attempting to communicate, you want them to understand and receive it. And the only way for that to happen is for it to go properly, for you to do it properly. Listen, I have communicated improperly before. And I'm sure everyone listening has also. When you do that, think about what the outcome was. The person, most of the time, will get on the defense, or even if they don't say anything, that there becomes a issue that's unspoken
Yeah.
because it wasn't brought to them, or it could ignite a situation that you don't want because now I got to defend myself
Right.
because you're coming to me to talk about how you feel, but it feels like you're attacking me. You're
Mm.
coming to me to tell me what you want, but it sounds like you're saying I'm not doing enough, or it feels like you're saying I'm not doing anything, or it feels like what you're communicating is that you're unsatisfied. If it's not done properly, then it can't be received.
Let me speak to that because this is the proper communication on my end.
Mhm.
Because okay, he's saying I do, I'm doing a horrible job. You know, all these things going in your mind. So proper communication, what I tend to do is
Yeah.
I anticipate what you may think when I say what I'm getting ready to say.
Mhm.
I serve the devil notice. And I don't allow those thoughts to get in your head because I deal with those thoughts before I say
Up
what I have to
front.
say.
Mhm.
You
That's
know, so
true.
that's proper communication. I deal with those thoughts because it's like, okay, I know my wife. So we've been
Uh-huh.
married for almost 23 years. And in 23 years, I know you. I
Mhm.
know you. I know a lot about you.
Mhm.
So I know even those sensitive places. So what
Mhm.
happened before I deal with it, I deal with the sensitivity.
And isn't that part of proper
Proper
communication? Knowing
communication.
your audience, knowing who you're talking to,
Absolutely.
knowing that person,
Absolutely.
knowing that if I don't preempt this with, babe, I love you. I just want you to know this, babe. I'm not your enemy. I want to say this, babe. I want us to. I love you more than anything,
Yeah.
and I want us to have an understanding. I want us to be on the same page, babe. I understand what you are saying. I respect how you feel, and I will do better. I respect how you feel. I respect what you're sharing with me, and I will do my best to be better in that area. Whatever it is, it's all about proper
Proper
communication.
communication. Absolutely. Absolutely. Proper communication. I mean, I really, I can do, we can do the whole podcast on
Oh
proper
yeah.
communication. I mean, you just said something and it makes sense. Like if it's any public speakers that are listening, anyone that you ever done any public speaking, you're a minister, any type of vision casting, she said something and it's like, it's part of the, communication is
Yes.
knowing your
Knowing your
audience. So,
audience.
I mean, in the
Hmm.
same time, it's when we having relationships with our kids. I mean, with our kids, with our spouse, because you may have two kids, but both kids may be different. You maybe
Hmm.
have one strong-minded, you may have one sensitive. So you
Hmm.
have to deal with those kids on the individual.
Differently.
You
Hmm.
cannot deal with them the same. You have to have proper communication with each and every one of them, or somebody is going to miss the message.
Yeah.
Somebody is going to shut you down. Somebody's going to shut you down in your mind, and it's going to be like the Snoopy, womp, 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 womp. They're not going to know what you're saying, and they're
Yeah.
just going to shut you down. You're just going to be, that's just going to make things even more.
Even
Yeah,
worse.
it's gonna make you more
Yes.
angry because now you know, okay, they're ignoring me. And now you're
Hmm.
really getting fired up. I mean, now you're really mad, so it's like taking care of that in the front end. And
Hmm.
again, like I say, serve the devil notice up front, give the devil his pink slip and say, you don't belong here. I'm
Hmm.
finna have this conversation with my children, and you don't belong here. I'm getting ready to have this conversation with my wife. You
Hmm.
don't belong here.
Yep.
I'm getting ready
Yep.
to have this
Yep.
conversation with my ministry. You don't belong here with my business. You don't belong here with the leaders in my organization. You don't belong here. And just serve him notice and kill it, nip it in the bud, and get it over with and say, you don't belong here. Here's your papers. Go ahead and walk out the door because I have something that I need to say to thrive this relationship that I'm
Yeah.
dealing with
To take this relationship
to the
to
next
thrive.
level. To
Yes.
the next
Yes. To the
level.
next level.
And that's what it's all
Absolutely.
about. It's about taking it to the next level.
Hmm.
Even great relationships, taking it to
Taking
the
it to the
next
next
level.
level. Hmm.
Never stop. Never stop.
Never
Taking it,
getting complacent.
never
Hmm.
getting complacent. So the second thing, while we're talking about never getting complacent, I want to deal with growth. I want to deal with growth. Growth is very important. So number two is growth is your responsibility. Come on, let's talk about it.
Growth is your responsibility. We talk about this all the time.
Yeah.
And this is the thing. I believe we know that people can change, but we cannot change them. You can't change me, I can't change you.
Yeah.
Growth on my part is my responsibility. It's my responsibility to grow as a human being, as a person, as a individual, as a wife with every single area of my life. It's my responsibility for me to grow in those areas. It's not anyone else's responsibility for me to become better. It's not anyone else's responsibility for me to become wiser. It's not anyone else's responsibility for me to become stronger. And the only way that I can grow is that I have to acknowledge that the growth is needed. I have to put in the work. I have to do the work to see the results of the growth. And I think it's important to, in a relationship, know your responsibilities and your responsibility because, and I truly believe this, if one person advances and grows in a relationship and the other person don't, there is going to be conflict.
Mm.
There's going to be conflict. Think about it. when you started to learn about finances, it took me a while to get there, but if I never get there, there's going to be conflict
Yeah.
eventually. Because when you get to the point where the finances are greater and one person still don't know how to manage them, you're going to feel like you're making all this money, but you're not getting anywhere. When it comes to leading, when it comes to your household, when it comes to everything, if you become better than you were, of course you did, because you've matured over the years, you've grown, you've become stronger, you become wiser, you've grown. You're not the same person you were when we got married. But if you grew and I didn't, there would be conflict.
You said something, and I want to go back to that. You said you can't change anyone as much as you want to. And that's one of the things I think we really
Uh,
have to really get this in our head, because this can cause
oh
frustration, and it
wow.
also can cause unmet expectations. Unmet
Yes.
expectation, because this is the thing, this can really frustrate us with growth,
Yeah.
because now you have expectations for someone else to grow. You have expectations to change someone. It's like you want to change your child. I mean, you want your child to be the best, and so we have all these unmet expectations, and it can frustrate us, and it can take the relationship. I mean, it can, well, I ain't gonna say take the relationship. It can drag you to the ground. It
Mm-hmm.
drag you to the ground emotionally. Why? Because you're expecting something that you're not
Not
getting,
gonna get.
instead
Mm-hmm.
of realizing that it's not the responsibility. For example, even this
Wow.
podcast right now, it's not the responsibility for me for you to grow.
Yeah.
It's your responsibility. It's our responsibility. We're sharing information from our life that's in fact working. I mean, I'm
Mm-hmm.
telling you, it's working, and it's working well. I mean, it's so it's our responsibility, because this is the whole thing, and this is the whole thing of this podcast. This podcast is because God has been so great to us in our relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
Our relationship has been amazing. The relationship we have, even on the jobs. I mean, in the ministry, we have amazing relationships. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's love going both ways. I mean, it's so awesome, and it's like, man, I'm nothing special. You're nothing
Mm-mm.
special. But it's like it's something that we're doing. That key. It's the
Yeah.
key to unlock the door. And the only thing we're doing is sharing keys. I'm sharing keys, but it's up to you. It's up to you, ladies and gentlemen, to apply what you've been
Yes.
listening. The TMC is not about entertainment. It's
No.
about growth.
Growth.
It's about helping you
Mm-hmm.
get to your next level. So this is the thing. You can listen to the podcast week after week. I mean, even if you take one thing, I'm not saying take everything we're talking about. If you could take one thing and say, what one thing I've listened to from Cedric and Shante today that I can apply in my life today, do it, because knowledge without application is meaningless. It means
Wow.
nothing if
Mm-hmm.
you don't apply it. You can read all the books. If we get the treadmill, place it in our house. If you don't apply or use the equipment that you have, it's meaningless. It
Absolutely.
means nothing.
Absolutely.
So the first thing we talked about is proper communication. Second thing is growth
Mm-hmm.
or personal growth.
Mm-hmm.
So the last thing we want to deal with, and the thing that we learn in our relationship, is selflessness is your greatest strength.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Selflessness is the greatest strength one can possess,
Hmm.
especially, I mean, it's good in every aspect of your life. And of course, that means relationship because here we talk about relationships in general. We focus on married couples or people desiring to be married, engaged couples, singles, whoever. But you're in relationship with a lot of people.
Hmm.
So this works in every relationship, not just your marriage, not just your parental relationship, not just your sibling relationship, not just your work. It works in every relationship. Selflessness being your greatest strength, that's you using what you can do. Be selfless. This is what can I bring to the table? We
Ah,
talked about that before. We talk about it all the time. What can I put into this relationship versus what I can get out? What can I give versus what I can get? what can I add instead of what can I subtract, or what can be added to me? What is the role and the value that I bring to the relationship? How do I enhance the relationship? It's so much. And selflessness means that it's always about the greater good of the
Yeah.
collective instead of the greater good of myself. Because I think that where we fall short in this, and this one is big to me, because I think that where we fall short in this is that we have been shaped, we are shaped by a society, by the idea and the thought that, every my world is about me. And that's true to a certain extent. But when your world encompasses other people, then you have to be mindful that those other people have feelings, those other people have needs. And if it's all about me, 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 then what does the other person benefit from being in a relationship with you if the relationship only benefits you? Selflessness about always thinking about the greater good of the collective. That's what I think about in a marriage. Is it better for me to have my way and what I want, or is it better for us to choose what's good for the collective, meaning the team? The
Yeah.
husband, the wife, the family, the kids, this legacy. Is it more important for me to choose the things I desire that will only benefit me, or is it more important to choose the things that will work best for the collective?
Yeah. Man, this is really selflessness. It's really crucial. It's one of the things that I learned in our relationship and learning even with pastoring and coaching people, coaching couples, coaching singles, coaching, entrepreneurship, all these areas. What I've learned about selflessness is so abnormal. It's
Yeah.
But when I've learned, and it kind of happened accidentally, when I stopped focusing on what you can do for me
Hmm.
and I started focusing on what I can do for you, how that changed the total dynamic of
Hmm.
our relationship when I started focusing on pouring into,
Hmm.
and the results of pouring into,
Yeah.
I got poured back
Into,
into.
yeah.
It's like really getting rid of that. And I'm talking, this is personal. I don't want you looking at people in your family. I want you to look at
Yes.
yourself. This is
Yourself.
about you right now, what I'm
Yes.
about to say.
Hmm.
You have insects that just annoying.
Hmm.
You have mosquitoes, you have leeches. I mean, they annoying because they
They just
suck,
suck the
they
life out of
suck the
everything.
life
Hmm.
out of you.
Hmm.
And I want you to look at yourself individually, because here it is. You want to make sure that you are not the individual that's
Yeah.
sucking the life out of someone else. It's so easy to feel when somebody is sucking the life out of you,
You.
but
Hmm.
it's hard to see when you're the one doing the sucking.
Sucking. Come on.
Oh,
Yeah, you're right. Come on.
listen, I want you to take the pacifier out of your mouth. I want you to stop sucking on things or sucking on people. And please don't take this the wrong
No.
way. I don't. I no. I'm talking. Don't
I
take
know
this.
what you mean.
Don't be
I
getting
know.
nasty with it. I'm
Yes.
not.
Yes.
I'm gonna stop saying sucking. I'm instead of saying sucking, I'm gonna say giving.
Hmm.
Stop taking,
Hmm.
and I want you to start giving.
Hmm.
Really focus on this. Think about it. Listen to me. On your job, if you're more focused on giving to the company than how much money you're getting, eventually the money will come.
Hmm.
Listen, the money will come when you focus, and your focus becomes selflessness. When you start pouring into things, your value is going to
Oh, you
keep
just
you
snatched the
there.
word.
Your
Yes.
value,
Yeah, your
you're
value makes you
raising
needed.
it,
Hmm.
raising, because it's life is about giving, not receiving. I mean, even in the Bible, in the book of
Yes,
Genesis,
it
he
is.
said, be fruitful
And
and
multiply.
multiply.
Hmm.
You can't multiply if you're selfish. You only can multiply if you're selfless.
Hmm.
But a relationship between a man and a woman, it takes the man, one person, listen to me, one person. I cannot multiply by myself.
Yeah.
She can't multiply by herself.
Mm-mm.
But when we come together,
Mm-hmm.
we can multiply.
Multiply. Absolutely.
Listen, multiply is about what you can what you can give to the relationship. So, what I want you to do for the next week, I want you to spend some time focusing on what you can give. I know, and you're on a job right now, and yeah, you're not making what you want to make. I should be making this. I feel unvalued. They not giving me what I deserve. I just want you, if you can, please trust me. Stop focusing on what you don't have and focus on what you can give.
Mm.
It may not listen to me. It may not change overnight. I mean, this is not
Yeah.
instant gratification thing I'm talking about. This happens over time. I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking you do it for a year. I guarantee you in a year, you'll start seeing results. Sooner or later, you should begin to start seeing the fruits of your labor because now I've been sowing so long. I've been giving so long. It's by nature by principle, it's time for me to receive.
Mm-hmm.
Not expecting it, but it's just going to come automatically. Listen to me. Selflessness is your greatest strength.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
So for the rest of the month, we have an exciting guest for next week.
Mm-hmm.
That we're going to
So join us next week.
yeah, join us next week for that. We're gonna so if you have a lesson that you learn in your relationship, whether it's your marriage, whether it's your dating relationship, whether it's your relationship with your children, relationship on the job, relationship in your business, relationship with your clients, I want you to put down in the comments, and I just want you to share lessons to share with the TMC family.
I look at our relationship, and over the time, over the years, I can see exact moments where these lessons came to pass.
Mm,
I can see exact moments. I can see exact moments where we talked about proper communication. I can see exact moments where there was improper communication and the results of that. I thank God that we were able to find out in those moments that, later on, it's like once we go deeper, we realize that, oh, this was improper communication. I shouldn't do this way no more. And it didn't happen right then when it was happening. It was later on. And then we talked about growing, your growth being your responsibility. I thank God for both of us, and especially myself. I thank God for the growth that has happened in my life, and I see where that growth came in our relationship, different areas of our marriage, how we went from level to level to level, and wisdom, knowledge, understanding, dealing with each other.
what's so crazy about it happens so subtle.
Yeah, just a little bit at
I
a
mean, you
time.
don't you don't really even see it,
Yes,
but it's like as 2, 3 years go by, you looking around, it's like your
exactly.
world is different. It's like your
Yes.
environment is different. It's like,
Like our
wow, you
conversations,
just
like
yeah,
every
everything,
single
yeah.
day, we have these bathroom talks every morning. We're getting ready, we have these bathroom talks. And I don't we didn't do that when we first got married. I mean, we worked different schedules, but we didn't do that when we first got married. But now it's just like, sometimes if we're in a rush, we can't talk to each other because this is going to become, one of us going to be late because of the
That's
things,
happening.
yeah, because of the things that we're sharing and how we're growing. And I was, just as you were talking, I was thinking about that. And I was thinking about the importance of that to a relationship. And I'm like, I just hope that we were able to communicate these three lessons
I
and
hope so. I hope
these
so. 'Cause
three
I
lessons,
really,
and that someone can hear them and apply them.
yeah.
And then I would love, and I believe it's gonna happen. I believe that one day someone would talk
I want to
about,
hear these
yeah,
testimonies, man.
yes, that's
It's
what I'm talking about.
yeah.
Because even when we talked about over podcasts and just in talking, we've talked about, divorce rates going up in the pandemic, people realizing I don't like you the way I thought I liked you, and all of that. And we also talked about, even in the midst of the pandemic, how we have grown. But the one thing that it has been consistent that I think it's important for us to share for all three: proper communication, growth being your responsibility, and selflessness being your greatest strength. All of this is, at some point, it has to become intentional for you.
Yeah.
It
Hmm.
has to become intentional for you. You got the knowledge. Now that you, because this video just gave you the knowledge. So now that you got the knowledge, you have to become intentional about focus on being selfless. You have to become intentional about growing. You have to become intentional about properly communicating. That's the only way these became lessons, instead of us saying, I used to be married to so and so, or we used to be together.
Yeah.
That's how they became lessons.
Yeah.
The point when you realized I messed up or I fell short, I didn't get this right, and now it's a lesson, and now I have to be intentional about fixing this.
Mm.
So intentionality. Yes, that's what I wanted to say.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. That's good. And I'm definitely looking forward to just as the TMC family, as we grow, as our community grows. We have a lot of things.
Yes.
A lot of things planned for the future. Really want to help help families with finance, and help families with credit. People
Yes.
paying all this money to all the things, all
And
the
they've
seminars,
been
and things
beneficial to
beneficial
us.
our lives.
Mhm.
Just want to really just give really give it away, because man, it's been given to us, and it's changed our life. And I just want to, I don't know, I just want
Blessed to be a blessing.
blessed to be a blessing. Help others go from surviving to thriving.
Thriving.
If you're thriving, go from thriving to thriving more.
Yes, yes,
You wanna do
yes.
that.
I
So
love
you-
it. Thank you for joining us today on TMC. If you found this information helpful, then subscribe, turn on your notifications, and give us a big thumbs up. If you're listening on iTunes, rate the podcast and leave a review. That helps us get the word out. And then we want to invite you to head on over to our leadership podcast, Lead to Greatness, where my husband is interviewing entrepreneurs and great leaders from all around the world every week.
Thank you for joining us today on TMC. Looking forward to hanging out with you again on next week as we continue to help you take your relationship from surviving to thriving.
Bye. See you next week.